Okay, I have a few extra blessings here tonight.
והלכתי לאיבוד בתוך שוק הומי אדם, עמוק בתוך חוטה של ים, אבל אני יודע שלא
I don't know which name it is, but I think it's Naomi Top. Hello, I just did a 20-minute learning of a day to create yourself on a blank screen. I was the one that was blank. And I'm like, I couldn't get into this thing. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I don't know which one's worse, to be watching people, not seeing anybody there, or actually, and I've got 2 pairs of glasses on. I didn't even see that one. So there you go. That's the hairband, and these are the ones that help me see. But I actually couldn't see myself in the picture. I had no idea who was there, but it's Rabbi Birnbaum's share that he does every Thursday night, and they learn a chapter of the book, Shabbat, A Day to Create Yourself. If you don't have one yet, please let me know and make sure that you get one. And I think just at this time, firstly, hello, Essie, hello, everybody. But I'm going to just put a little bit of push for this month, Tammuz, of learning the laws of Lashon Hara together. And our grandson was going to meet his friend to do some learning or schmoozing. So instead of the schmoozing, he's going to sit and learn one chapter together. Ahuva and Yaakov are going to learn one halacha here together. There we go. Go and sit over there and you can learn that. And one of the things that we know that these are the times that we all need to be literally inspiring ourselves and reminding ourselves of our gifts. And I'm not going to say anything till after, just in case it's something that Essie wants to share with us. But it's wonderful to be here. It's Thursday night, and it is such a busy time. All I know is that, thank God, there have been many, many weddings this week, and I already had a few messages. Please just send me the recording. I said, these days you have to remind me it goes onto our website. So once again, Essie, thank you for being with us. I think everybody's sort of getting to that time of year. And I said, there's no time, because of where we are, that we have to always remind ourselves who we're here with, what we're doing, and to just remind ourselves that there's no time to rest. This is a time where we literally have to be working as many hours in the day as we can to better ourselves, to inspire people around us, and to make sure that we are constantly connecting and reconnecting to ourselves. So the title tonight is very apt, and I guess I'm going to hand over to Essie and say good evening to everybody. And because when we are challenged with actually living a meaningful life, this is what we are going to get some skills for tonight. So looking forward to adding to everything. And it's funny not to have you sitting here next to me, Essie, but you're muted. So if you can unmute. You're unmute and I mute myself.
I'm unmuted. Hello, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for being with me. I am missing being a Joanne doing this now, but I rushed back from Hendon to give my daughter the car because she has to go to an engagement, and then I will be coming back to Golders Green for Keith's wedding, B'ezras Hashem, tonight. And another engagement tonight as well is Rivki Zobin. For those of you who know her, it's really nice. Okay.
I didn't hear. Did you say Naomi Zobin?
Rivki Zobin.
Rivki Zobin.
Do you know who that is? She was a madricha in the same, which is lovely. Okay, so let's see my stuff together. When we came to discuss tonight topic, we were discussing different names. The name that came to mind was I planned a speech with the topic of man's search for meaning. So having to be loyal to the topic, I had to quote Viktor Frankl, which I'm going to be doing. But I have to admit, with all the study that I have done, I never actually read the book. I maybe read a few bits, but not the whole thing. So
if you want, have you got it? Because if you want to read it, I'll lend it to you.
No, I'm good. I have plenty of other reading material. There's lots waiting. So yeah, we're good. Okay, but however, Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he does get to certain understandings, and one is that the bottom line of it is that you can't continue life without without meaning. And I'm going to touch on a few things, elaborate on that a bit, and then come back full circle. So when when we're looking at man, whenever we want to learn about anything, we always need to look at the first time that it appeared in the Torah, and then we know what the essence of it is. So it says Na'aseh Adam, let's make man. And Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch says, who is Na'aseh? We don't believe in a Trinity. We believe in one man, in one Hashem. So who is them, Na'aseh? And there's many, many different pirushim on this. So I'll start with one, which is Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, that says, Hashem turned to mankind themselves, i.e. to every single one of us, and said, let's make man. I will make your potential, and you will actualize that potential. You will bring it to the fore. You'll develop and actualize yourself and become who you can be. A person, a man, if you want to look at the words, there's another way of looking at it, and I wrote it out. I don't know if it comes out mirror, or can you see this? Can you see the at the end, or do you see it mirror writing? You can see it. So the word Adam, Na'aseh Adam, let's make man, is written Aleph Daled Mem. Now I've circled it because there's a way of looking at it, which is, if you open up the word, I've spelled out Aleph, Daled, and Mem. I wrote tough instead of Mem. 1 second, I'll change that. My mistake. Sorry, this is meant to be a Mem. I'm just correcting it. So we have the word Adam. This is one way of looking at stuff is you open the word, you spell out the letters. So it's Aleph, Daled, and Mem. I then took away the word Adam, and now I'm going to look at the inside of the letters of the word Adam. The inside of the word Adam is spelling out the word mitpalel. Can you see that? Mitpalel. Now, mitpalel means to daven. However, the root of the word mitpalel is pei lamed lamed. Pei lamed lamed is judgment. And the word mitpalel means to self-judge. So when we are davening every day, every time or if don't think about davening even, I'm just thinking about the essence of man is to self-reflect. Again, you see the word Adam? I opened it up, the Aleph, the Daled, and the Mem. I then took away the word Adam and looked at the inside that is left, and the inside that is left is mitpalel. That's the essence of man, which means to self-reflect, to self-judge. That's one. Now I'm looking at there's five levels in the creation, which you can see in different places. This is the Kuzari brings it down, and the Kuzari is a book that I think Rabbi Yehuda Levi wrote, going back to Spain hundreds of years ago, and Rabbi Israel Tauber in his book Habayis HaYehudi, Pirkei Machshava quotes him. So you can see it there as well if you have that. And he brings down that we have 5 different levels of beings, which we're going to come to at the end, and I'll explain it further. Now, Viktor Frankl says, we that lived in a concentration camp, this is a quote, I translated it from Hebrew to English, so it might not be identical to the quotes from your book, Joanne. We that lived in the concentration camps, we remember those that went from bank to bank, from barrack to barrack, offering, giving away their last piece of bread. There were maybe fewer in numbers, but they were the ones who give us solid proof that you can take everything away from man. You can take away from him his work, his clothes, his family, and even his name, everything he has. But you cannot take away from him his ability to choose, the freedom to choose. It's true that circumstances like lack of sleep and lack of food and other horrible conditions can cause pressure but they don't tell you the type of person, because at the end of the day, the person is the result of the inner choice that he makes, and not the influence of the surroundings. Every person, in every condition, in every state, can choose what will be with him, mentally and spiritually. The few stories that I told my students in Theresienstadt last week, which I feel are very powerful stories. There was a Rebbe by the name of Rabbi Israel Shapira. He was known as the Blozhever Rebbe. He was taken into the camps, as well as his community and many and all the other Jews. He was 53 years old. He lost everything. He lost his family, his children, in-laws, grandchildren, everyone. He lost everything he had. He was incredibly supportive to everyone around him. He was on the giver side always, and he chose to always encourage the Jews to keep and do, and he was very he was an incredible source of comfort to people around him. So the one story was on before Pesach. He actually managed to obtain permission somehow from the higher authorities in Berlin to send them some wheat, because he wants to make matzahs. They got a bit of wheat, which he then ground together with other people with two rocks. They literally labored for this, and they managed to come together with a few thick, small matzahs. So one person managed to get some a piece of metal, which they then made holes with, and they got a fire going. And literally, it was unbelievable effort and mysterious nefesh that went into making these matzahs. Oh, I forgot to mention that the making of the receiving the wheat was on condition that they will not get bread for 8 days, which they agreed to. So he received it, and he finally had these few matzahs. He cherished them. And soon after, he walks into the barrack with the matzahs. Yimach Shimo Has was the head of the block, came in, red-faced, angry like anything, and started beating him up and literally crushing the matzahs. And he said, "How dare you?" You know, they caught a letter that the Jews smuggled out, complaining about the conditions in the camps, and hoping that someone will find it and somehow release will come. So the Rebbe lost his consciousness. He was lying on the ground, on the floor of the barrack, and eventually he came to. And when he got up, he gathered the bits of matzah that were left, and called all the Jews. We're making Seder night tonight. Everyone come, men, women, whoever's around, come and celebrate. I know the Haggadah by heart. I will say the Haggadah, and we will have Seder night together tonight. So in the barrack, they gathered together, and he said the Haggadah, and they sang. And when it came to eating matzah, the amount of matzah that he managed to gather together was 1 kazayas of matzah. Now the question is, who is going to eat this matzah? So they're literally sitting there ready to go for the matzah, and a lady, a widow who was sitting in the very, very back, called out, "I have my child with me. I think my child should have the matzah." The whole commotion, "What do you mean, your child? He's no bar chiyuv, he's no bar mitzvah, he doesn't need it." And the Rebbe said, "She's right. Bring the child here." And it was a young child who she was hiding with her. And the child came forward, and the Rebbe gave him the matzah to eat. At the end of the war, in the DP camp, the woman approached him and said to the Rebbe, "Rebbe, I had a suggestion, a shidduch suggestion that came to me, which was the name a guy called Rabbi Israel Shapira. Does the Rebbe know him? Is he a good shidduch?" And the Rebbe said he's a good shidduch. And she didn't know that the Rebbe's name was Israel Shapira. And the next day they met, and they got married. And the Rebbe brought up that child as his own. And when he was asked, "What made you marry this woman?" She was someone from a faraway village, no name, no yichus, she was just, a a simple woman and you're a big Rebbe. And the Rebbe said, a woman who can see the future, who can see that the child, in a place where there's no child living, she can see that her child is the future of Am Yisrael. She should be a leader of Am Yisrael. Which brings us, it made me think of incredible women. Now you see Hadassah Levenstein, who lost her husband. She's, 6 kids, a young family, and how she's just determined we're going to have a Simcha Dika family, and even not even Yotam, the boy called Yotam, who was one of the kidnapped boys, who was unfortunately killed by our own soldiers because they mistakenly thought he was a terrorist. And his mother called out in the Shiva. She invited the soldiers who killed him to come. And she said, I want you to come. I want to give you a hug. You must continue what you're doing. And she gave them, she's a woman who is seeing the future of Am Yisrael. She's seeing the ability within the pain to connect and to communicate, to convey to them, you're the future, carry on. It's like Miriam, our who died in this week's Sedra, who provided us with water in the desert. She was a woman who saw the future from within the darkness. 86 years of depression and oppression, and her father says, no, we're not, I'm not having divorced the wife, and Miriam comes forward and said, you can't do that, Abba. If you don't you divorce your wife, you're not going to have girls either. And you're killing the future of Am Yisrael altogether. She saw the future, and because she saw the future, she also took tambourines with when they left Israel, and they had tambourines to sing and dance with when they after they crossed the sea. So that's one focus. With another story of Yisrael Shapira on Hanukkah, when they managed to scrape together. There was another Rebbe there, and they said to each other, "What are we going to do for Hanukkah? How are we going to light?" And Rabbi Yisrael Shapira said, I have a little bit of shoe polish. It's quite oily. I think we can manage to get it to light. And I think the other Rebbe was a Kloisenberger Rebbe. He said to him, if you give that shoe polish, I will take out one of my shoelaces. I mean, that we can't begin to comprehend what it meant to give a shoelace up when shoes were such a precious commodity, when you're walking for miles and miles to the labor every day. He gave his shoelace, and they lit, and they called everyone around. We're going to have a grand Chanukah, a Hadlaka. Everyone should come, and people gathered all around. And the Bluzhin Rebbe made a bracha, Hadikna Shel Chanukah, and then he made a bracha al Hanisim, and then he paused, and he waited, and he kind of contemplated for a few more seconds. And when with vigor and excitement, he said, Shehecheyanu v'kiyemanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. And afterward, the Jew came up to him and said, Rebbe, that you say Lehadikna Shel Chanukah, I understand. That you say Shehecheyanu, that you say Alanisim, I understand. But Shehecheyanu, that we live to see such times, to this time, V'kimanu, that he kept us to be in this time. How can you say that bracha? And the Rebbe said to him, I thought the same thing. And that's why I stopped, and I discussed it with the Kloisenberger, the Rebbe before as well. Can I say this bracha Shehecheyanu or not? And then, after contemplating, looking around, how many Jews are willing to come here? If the Germans come and see us, what are they going to do to us? But we come here, and we choose, despite it all, Shehecheyanu, yes, that we live to this time. This is what we live for. And he put such meaning into it. He lifted the whole thing up. And in fact, after the war, a Jew came up to him and said, Rebbe, I've given it all up. I have absolutely no interest after what I've seen, the disgusting behavior of people that I've seen in the war. There is no way I will keep one mitzvah. And the Rebbe obviously was very empathetic, and he was there, he went through it, he knows what he's talking about. And he said to him, Tyra Yid, tell me, what is bothering you so much? And he said, there was somebody in the barrack that owned a pair of tefillin, and people came begging Please let me put on your tefillin. I don't have tefillin. I haven't eaten tefillin. Please let me put a tefillin on. And he would sell an opportunity for tefillin for a slice of bread. And some people gave their last slice of bread for this tefillin. How can I keep the Torah if such people exist? And the Rebbe said to him, Yo, it's true. But did you ever stop to think how many Jews gave their last piece of bread just to put tefillin on? Right? It's a matter of choice. It's a matter of how we see things. So the life going forward will give us all different stories. We will be all different experiences that we will have to face. And the freedom to choose is ours. Which way am I going to look at things? Am I going to look at it this way, or am I going to look at it that way? Our attitude will determine our direction and our decision. And we need to know that life is not free of pain. Wherever we go, there will be pain. The question will be, what meaning are we going to put into this pain? Because if we have meaning, we can survive and we can continue and we can thrive. And it was an interesting thing that Viktor Frankl observed. He said that people who lost their belief deteriorated very quickly. And he was in the hospital. He was observing people in the hospital. There were many people who didn't keep Torah mitzvahs, who were not aware of the Jewish calendar necessarily. Many assimilated Jews who were there, and the time that they kept was Xmas. And he said it was very interesting to see that was a point in time where they were all getting very hopeful. And when the time came and nothing changed for them, many of them deteriorated and died because they lost hope. So the conclusion that he arrived at is to live life not why, but how. And as Rebbe Yemima said today in a Shiva house yesterday, I think it was, she said, don't say why, say ad matai. Okay, with the suffering that we're experiencing today in Eretz Yisrael, when we daven and we cry to Hashem, we say Hashem ad masai, but we don't say why, because we don't understand and we can't understand. But what we do understand is there is a much bigger picture. Leah Kaufman, who passed away very recently, was a very special woman. Joanne, you quoted her, didn't you? You told the SEM girls about her. When she was 9.5 years old, her family went on the run. Sorry?
Yeah.
You quoted her, yeah.
That whenever we would take her but also all the a lot of the women's trips we actually
met with her. Yeah. She was a very special.
So
to meet with her. So she passed away recently. She was 9.5 years old when her family went on the run. And by the time the war ended, she was completely by herself. It was already a few years that she was by herself. And she ended the year close to, I think she was 15 and a half. And she arrived, she had quite a story when she was she was living in someone's house. She was running their pub, whatever their business, and she was basically their servant. And she used to sleep by a floor next to the fireplace. And she said that one night she had horror dreams, and she spoke and shouted in Yiddish. And the family heard, they woke up and they wanted to kill her. And she begged them to stay alive, to keep her and let her go. But the trauma made her forget her Yiddish. And after the war, she went to Vienna, and she turned to a head of a school, Jewish school, asking to become a teacher in the school. And he said, how do I know you're Jewish? Have you come across a Jew that doesn't speak Yiddish? And she said to him, I may not look Yiddish, I may not speak Yiddish, but the Kedusha, the holiness, and the happiness that oozed from the walls of my home on Erev Shabbos and Erev Yontef, no goy can describe. And he took her on that basis, that she proved her Jewishness with her feeling, with her description of home. So how she kept her Yiddishkeit, how she kept so close to Hashem through all the years, was she chose to bring up in her mind pictures from her childhood, the Shabbos table, her mommy lighting candles, the preparation for Yontif, the cleaning for Pesach, and she kept reliving those moments in her mind, which enabled her to get through. And she was such a happy, positive person, which is an incredible choice that she made.
Did you see the video clip of her lighting Shabbos candles?
You sent it to me. Yeah, you
So
sent
amazing.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that she had no idea that anybody was there videoing it, but
It was
the
very,
way
very
she lit candles, Shabbos candles, was just
incredible. So I'm gonna look again at our lives, and if you look at man and in the Torah, Sulam Yaakov, the ladder of Jacob, is according to the Sfas Emes, is a description of ourselves, human beings, every single Jew. And he said it's every single Jew who is metaken himself. We're fixing ourselves, we're mending ourselves, we're trying to get to our tikkun. And what is the message of the ladder? The ladder says, Vehine, in his dream, Yaakov had a dream, and in his dream, it says, Vehine sulam mutzav alta, there is a ladder standing, and its feet are in the ground, and its head is all the way up in the heaven. And there are Malachei Elokim, angels of Hashem, going up and down the ladder. And the Sfas Emes tells us that this is to teach us about the potential of man. He said, we are so holy that Malachei Elokim, the angels of Hashem, are going up and down within us, meaning we can reach higher than the Malachim, higher than the angels. And our body, the drives, pull us down. They go down and we go up. We can go all the way down and we can go all the way up. And this dream Yaakov had just before as he left the world of Torah, he left the world of learning Torah, and he was moving on to go to get married and have family, and he had to serve his father-in-law. He had to work. He had to worship the land, meaning he had to not worship as in service, but he had to work with the sheep, and he was very, very busy with mundane, everyday life things. And it's actually a fascinating thing that he had a major pachad. He got such a fear from it. Why did he get this revelation now? Hashem is telling him, your potential is so great, but I need you to bring Hashem into your life in the mundane day-to-day things. And we have a pasuk that says, Bechol derachecha da'ehu. In everywhere you turn, that is where you should know Hashem. The point was that Yaakov was able to bring Hashem into every aspect of his service. That when you look at Yaakov is Tiferes. Yaakov is the balance. It's a culmination of Avraham and Yitzchak, the chesed, the kindness, and the gevura, the self-restraint, the overcoming. And Chazal didn't call us Bnei Avraham. We're not the children. We are the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But at the end of the day, what are we called? Bnei Israel, the children of Yaakov. Yaakov was called Israel. And he says, you shall make me Hashem says, make me a dwelling place, and I shall reside within you. It doesn't say I shall reside within the dwelling place. I shall reside within you. In every single one of you, Hashem will reside. And it's very, very interesting. Yaakov says to her, the Midrash said that Yaakov said to Hashem, I didn't have to bring my child up on the Akedah, like on binding, like the binding of Isaac, like Abraham did, which Abraham and Yitzchak both did together. But yet, Yaakov compared his life, wives, children, parnasa, like every single one of us today in our own life. He compared that to the Akedah of Yitzchak, and Hashem accepts it, and is like, and it's compared, and that's what we're called. And it said we weren't called Har, a mountain, like Abraham. We were not called a Sadeh, a field, like Yitzchak. We were called Bait, base Yaakov, base Israel, like Yaakov. So we have to follow that way, which is our tachlis, our task in this world, our purpose in this world is to connect the Shamayim, the heaven and the earth, by being busy with our regular day-to-day stuff, just putting Kedusha into it. Everything that we do to recognize Hashem in our life, we don't need to change our lifestyles drastically. We need to bring Hashem in and recognize Him in everywhere we go. B'chol derachecha da'ehu. Know Hashem everywhere you turn. Another thing that it says, V'yodata hayom, the pasuk says, you shall know today, know it in here, V'hashevota elevavecha, and bring it to your heart. We have the knowledge, but we have to bring it into the heart. Why? Because the lev, the heart, is the main place where we operate. We have a thought that comes into our head. It travels from the chokhmah to the bina and goes down to the heart. The heart checks everything out, emotions all in place, and then it sends it back up to da'as. And in da'as, which is in the back of our the mind, is where we actually make a decision. That's a decision-making process. So the heart is very much a place where the brain depends on to make a decision. And Hashem says, I want your heart. It says, Rahmana. Rahmana is in Aramaic Hashem. Liba ba'e. He wants our heart. He wants our emotions. He wants us to be close to Him, to relate and bring it, not just, I'm davening, now I'm with Hashem, now I'm cooking, now I'm shopping, no. It's not just when you're davening. That's a madrega, that's very nice. But bring it into every aspect of your life. Why is it so important to bring the heart in? Because that is the place, when we have bechira, when we have choice, that is the place that the battle takes place. It says, Ain ro'a, the eye sees, v'halev chomed, and the heart desires. So when the heart desires, nothing stands in its way unless you actually behave, act with this concept of moach, lev, kaved. I've shown it in the past in this setting. So I'm here. Moach is a brain, lev is a heart, and kaved is our drive, our desires, and that's our heart, our liver. So what is melech? That is, can you see the melech? We have to act with melech, meaning we are, each and every one of us is the daughter of a king. When we say daughter of a king, I mean the essence of us is king. In the Torah, when it says bat or bar mitzvah, your name is not mitzvah. It's your essence at the time. You're bar mitzvah, you're becoming bar mitzvah, that's your essence. When we say kamtza, uvar kamtza, the story of Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, that is not the name of the guy, was not kamtza. It was the essence which revealed to us the story. So when we're saying bas melech, I'm a daughter of a king, it's my essence that I act, that I need to think with a moach, lev, kaved, that process of putting the Hashem's, the Das Torah first before my heart. So because if we act with just our heart, we then change the word around and that becomes lemech. Nobody wants to be a lemechol. And if you put your desires first, that brings the kaf first, then the heart, then the brain, that makes you into a kaf lamed mem, which means klum, which is a nothing. So nobody wants to be a nothing. Nobody wants to be a lemech. We need to act as a bas melech. Now, when we think about, I just give you an example of free choice, is say I want to lose weight. Now, most of us are in that position. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. And I want to lose weight. So in my mind, I want to lose weight, but I really, really, really like chocolate fudge cake. And someone very, very, very kindly put in my fridge chocolate fudge cake. Now, Ein Ro'a, the eye sees, Halev Chomed, the heart desires. So I say to myself, just a little sliver, and then I'll be fine. What happened then? It's not just one little thing. It will end up being a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. I've lost the battle when I gave in to that heart desire. So I'm just giving a little example of how when we get up in the morning. Okay, I've skipped. Okay, when Rav Pliskin says that every morning when we wake up, we choose anew what day we want to live. And every day anew, it's a new choice. When I'm saying, Modeh ani lefanecha, I thank you, Hashem, that you returned my neshama back to me, because great is your belief in me. I am choosing to see the world with ayin tova, with a good eye, meaning with a positive outlook. And if I choose to live with a positive outlook, the day will be much better. Everything around me will be much better. And the choice is ours. And we can change our midot, our character traits, from negative to positive ones by exercising over and over again, positive over negative. And you should know that our brain is only able to contain one thought at a time. Now, we can't control the thoughts that come into my head. I can't control. Thoughts come in, I can't control it. What I can control is when a thought comes in, what do I do with it? I can shove it out and consciously and have mindfulness to replace it with another thought. That I can do, and that is my choice, and that is my obligation, to choose to replace a negative thought with a positive one. Reb Bloch was Rosh Yeshiva's Tells in America. He wrote a book called Shirei Da'as. He was in America when the war broke out, and he couldn't go back. And he lost everyone back in Europe. And he continued to give shirim. He continued to run his yeshiva. And he said, don't see me that I'm heartless. I write with pain. I'm suffering with it. At the same time, he said, it's because of the meaning that I have that I'm able to continue and go forward. And more than that, he said a very strong message. He said, I pity anyone who has not gone through suffering. Because if you don't have suffering, you don't know your potential. You can't actualize yourself. See, Hashem sends us new things, good things coming our way. But the old way of thinking can't necessarily contain that bracha that Hashem wants to give us. So he needs to break in order to give us a new vessel. And it depends on us how we see it, if we'll be able to then build a new vessel, new ways of thinking in my mind, positive one, to be able to then contain the new goodness that Hashem wants to send my way. When Hashem says, Na'aseh Adam, let us make man, we said in the beginning that he turned to the potential of man. According to the Ramban, what happened was on the first day of creation, Hashem created something called Koach Hiyuli, which was a potential for absolutely everything. And then on the second day, that which was in potential on the first day of creation, Mayim, the separation of the water, separated. On the third day, the land, the vegetation came to being. He separated he put a boundary to the water to allow the land to show. It was all there in potential from the first day of creation, and it just came to its full potential to being on the different days of creation. So on the sixth day of creation, Hashem said to the land, let us make man. He said to the soil to produce the potential of man so the man can be formed. And that's when man was formed. But that man that was formed was mainly physical. He had abilities. He had a nefesh, nefesh is the force of life, which all animals have, and it's contained in the blood. Ki hanefesh, the pasuk says, Ki hanefesh, Ki hadam, he hanefesh. The blood is the force of life within us. That animals also have that. Then Hashem gave this being, Adam, he gave him this being also ruach. Ruach is a speaking spirit, the ability to have emotions and to speak. But that was the fourth level of creation. After that, the pasuk after Na'aseh Adam, it says, Vayivra Elohim, and Hashem created Es Ha'adam, the man, Betzalmo, in his image. Betzelem Elohim bara oto, in the image of Hashem, Hashem created man. And that is the fifth and highest level of creation. When Israel, so Israel received not just nefesh, the blood, the force of life which we have, not just the ruach, which is the speaking spirit and the emotions, but the next level up, which is neshama, which is like the halo around us, which shines into us, our neshama, our eternal soul. And then there's two more parts to Israel, which is chaya and yechida, which is two higher levels of our neshama. So non-Jew has nefesh and ruach, and that's all speaking being, all people. And a Jew has three higher levels of neshama, of soul, which are neshama, chaya, yechida. And that is the fifth level. In other words, when man was created, but at the time of creation, there were two creations. There was the lower part of man, and then the Israel part of man. And it says, when it says Na'aseh Adam, let us make man, Na'aseh is making something from something. It's called Yesh Meyesh, something from something. And that Na'aseh Adam was forming the shape of man with everything that he had, with our lungs, with our brain, with all the wiring of our nerve system and incredible miracles which we are all existing with. And then there is the next pasuk, which is Vayivra Elohim, the Hashem created. Created is Yesh Me'ayin, something from nothing, which is a much higher level of creation, which is Hashem created, gave us our neshama, which is the eternal part of us, which is the chelek eloka mimal. It's a part of Hashem, it's a spark of Hashem within us. So that is a new creation that was created above, and that means that a Jew has nefesh behemis, a lower part, which is the physical, the emotional, and then and then we have above that the nitzchi, the eternal part, which is that connection that we have, the neshama, the pinteliyid that we have from Hashem, which never ever ever goes away, and nothing can ever touch that. So there's 5 levels of creation. There is inanimate objects, then there is vegetation, plants, trees, flowers, etc. Then we have animals, all the animal kingdom, sheep, fish, birds, worms, all that come under the animal kingdom. And then we have man, that's 4th level. And then we have a Jew, which is the 5th level. Now, who is Israel? When the Kuzari explains that when Am Yisrael has Avraham Avinu reached the level of walking through fire and nothing happened to him. A person that reached such a level, what happened with Avraham Avinu? Avraham Avinu was, the whole world was together with Nimrod. Nimrod was the king at the time, and Nimrod means let's rebel. He rebelled against Hashem. And Avraham was the only person in the world which stood on the other side. It's called, and he's called Avraham Ha'ivri. Ivri means from the Ever. He stood on the other side. The only one that went against the tide. And Nimrod said he's going to kill Avraham. He's going to burn him at stake. And Avraham's mother begged him to change his mind and move over to the camp of Nimrod. And Avraham said, no, Hashem is eternal. And if Hashem is eternal, I am with Hashem. And Hashem's fire will be stronger than his fire. And that power, we are called Bnei Avraham, we're the children of Avraham. That power which Avraham had won, because what happened to Avraham? He walked through the fire and nothing happened to him. Now, then we have Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu lived for 40 days and 40 nights up in Shamayim without eating or drinking anything. And that he got to such a high level that his face shone. You know, the first translation to Latin from the Torah was, the Torah is written without any nikudos. There's no vowels to the Torah, so you can read every word with the wrong pronunciation. And the Latin, the first translation of the Torah it says they misread it. They read Karan or Panav, instead of understanding it that his face shone and that it glowed. They read it Keren or Panav. Keren means a horn. So Michelangelo's rendition of Moshe Rabbeinu with horn is based on a mistranslation of the Torah. When Moshe Rabbeinu came down from this Har Sinai, his face shone so strong that they couldn't look at him. They said it was like a reflection of the sun. His face it shone so much. Now the Kuzari says that Bnei Israel are different people. We're different types of humans. That we are type that can be like angels. That we have a higher part that the others can't reach. And the Kuzari says that the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu existed and the fact that Avraham Avinu survived the fire, both give us proof that every Jew that is part of Am Yisrael has the ability to be just like them. And the Zohar HaKadosh, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, says that every generation and generation and every soul and soul of Am Yisrael have an aspect of Moshe Rabbeinu within them. In other words, every single one of us has the ability to choose, the ability to be so high, but it's all down to what? The choice that we make. The Rambam says every person is able to be like Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Zohar says that everyone can be like Avraham Avinu, and the Zohar said that everyone can be like Moshe Rabbeinu. That means that my job as a Jew is to choose good, just like the Torah says, "Uvacharta b'chaim," and you should choose life by being good, by being on the giving side and not on the taking side. I will say that Rav Dessler said that sometimes taking is giving, and you need to always assess every situation. Bechol derachecha da'ehu. Every way that you turn and everything we do, when we wake up in the morning, when we're eating lunch, when we're serving lunch or supper, everything that we're doing, include Hashem, choose to see the good and see Hashem, and I give us all a bracha that we shall make man. Na'aseh Adam, we shall actualize our potential, Be'ezus Hashem. Good Shabbos.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. It's interesting. I know that if you read Let Us Make Man by Rabbi Twersky,
Oh, yeah.
famous first book that he actually wrote, which he says that most of the books that he's written since have just been a variation of it, which is really helping us to understand our potential and really the self-esteem that we all need to really have and develop. And I think that is actually something which right now I find in the world, when we realize that, the whole world's against us. We're this tiny little nation. And I think we just irritate them. We just annoy the world that we are still here and that we're not going to be going anywhere. And that actually could be a thing. But sometimes I think that if we recognized how much good and what we can bring around in change, the way they think, then we'd probably all think a little bit more highly about ourselves. Yeah, I said to the girls this morning in school that really, I think it was Rothschild, my husband will correct me from the next door room if it wasn't, but that the people said that they're so wealthy, the Jews, that they even control the weather, and we are responsible for controlling the weather. So I said to the girls, do you think that we control the weather? And they looked and said, like, no. So I said, no, actually we do. What do we say every day in Shemona Esrei? We talk and we daven for the weather. So in reality, our behavior and everything we do controls the weather as well. And I think that is really the place that you sort of see the enlightening place that we're going to actually all get to and say, wow, we half believed it, but really, this is incredible. And I think that that's the power really of who we are. And just going back to Leah Kaufman, because you spoke about her tonight, I think that, we don't recognize really, and I think that across the board, we never recognize the real greatness of people until they're no longer with us. And if anybody can go back into their feeds and just go back a few weeks when she was Nifta, I think we just come to the Shleishim, that the video clip of her lighting Shabbat candles, how she pronounces and enunciates every single word so clearly. And then she prays in English and she said, please Hashem, look after my children, make sure that they stay and marry Jewish. And she says something quite incredible. She says, and please that they should never know or see the horrors that we knew and that we saw. And it just shows how you can live a life of so much positivity and teaching and everything, and yet you have that and you carry that with you all the time. So it doesn't matter what we actually feel like or how challenged we feel, it becomes a choice on how really we behave. And we're living in a world where I think that really internally, that's more difficult and not really there like it used to be. So I have 3 bags of challah here today. So I'll be putting my 3 doughs. So that's 4.5 kilos of dough that will be mafresh challah on.
Can I just come in? I need to run to an engagement.
I'll see you at the wedding afterwards. I'll wait until everybody's back and then we'll see you there. Run to the wedding and Bezrat Hashem, we'll see you.
Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
So one of the things that, when we're doing and we're making our challah, this is the challah that is so beautiful for us for Erev Shabbos. We actually have the merit this week of hosting for somebody else that's made for people that are making Sheva brachas for other people. So I said, the one thing that I love to do and can do is to make my challah. And I just thought, I know it's my mother, Granny, Mummy, sending love, and now to have you there with us. And hopefully everybody's going to be a sweet upstairs. So in the Zuchut, let's just get all 3 doughs under one cover, all joined together. The touching of all the doughs here together, and Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvaysav v'tzivanu lahafrish challah min ha'ispa harei zu challah. There's a chus of our precious challah, that we should have refuahs and yeshuas for all of Klal Yisrael, and that all our chayalim should be protected, should be well and healthy. Every single one of everyone in Klal Yisrael should be protected from a ruchnius, from a spiritual, emotional, and physical. They should be protected for physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And that in Mitzvah Hashem we should have a Shabbat of Shalom, and that we should really greet Mashiach very, very, very soon. Thank you for being with us, and that we should have an elevated Shabbos, and we should make it into an elevated place. And I will be sharing with you over the next few days also the goodness, the chesed things of Hirsch Goldberg, which his mother is pushing out, that we should for the release of all of our hostages. And next Thursday evening, England time at 5 p.m. is another World Challah. So you'll have your challah doughs ready early, and if you're going to do another bracha after, then we'll have it for later as well. Okay, sending love to everybody and Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Thank you so much. Have a good Shabbos. Enjoy the
Good
wedding. Big
Shabbos.
Mazel Tov.
Thank you, Mazel Tov. Baruch Hashem, a week of simchas.
Lots
Bye,
to
Joanne.
lots
Good
to be
night.
lots to
Good night.
celebrate.
Good
Bye.
night. Yes,
Mazel
Baruch
Tov.
Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Blessed.